Hi, my name is Annie and welcome to the Walking Word, where we go through the Holy Bible in a year as part of discipling. We are in the book of Kings and we're in chapter 6, where we're going to see the building of the temple. But remember the temple that God promised David his son will build. So that's the temple we're about to see now. Now, remember the book of Kings is basically life history and obituary of the kings of Israel. It's a story about, it revolves around fidelity to God. If you're in leadership, you'll see the nature of God. And if you're in any form of leadership, the book of Kings is a book you must study to understand how God views leadership and what he expects from leadership. So it's basically the rise and fall of kings in Israel, the Israelite monarchy, let me put it that way. And it's a good book. It's a good book. Especially in leadership, you'll really enjoy the book of Kings and Chronicles. But let's proceed. Building of the temple. In the 408th year from the departure from the Israelites from the land of Egypt, so in the 4th year of Solomon's reign over Israel, in the month of Ziv, which is the second month, I remember the first month. What was the name of the first month? Abib, I think. Which is the second month, the construction of the temple of the Lord was began. The temple which King Solomon built for the Lord was 60 cubits long, 20 wide, and 25 high. The porch in front of the temple was 20 cubits and from side to side, okay, along with the width of the nave. Verse 4. Splayed windows with trellises were made for the temple and adjoining the wall of the temple, which enclosed the nave of the sanctuary. An annex of several stories was built. Its lowest story was 5 cubits wide, the middle one 6 cubits wide, the third 7 cubits wide, because there were offsets along the outside of the temple so that the beams would not be fastened into the walls of the temple. The temple was built of stone dressed at the quarry, so that no hammer, axe, or iron tool was to be heard in the temple during the construction. So they basically, God introduced them to agile construction. So the entrance to the lowest floor of the annex was at the right side of the temple, and the stairs with intermediate landings led up to the building middle story, and from the middle story to the third. When the temple was built of its full height, it was roofed with rafters and boards of cedar. The annex, with its lowest story 5 cubits high, was built all along the outside of the temple, to which it was joined by cedar beams. This word of the Lord came to Solomon: as to this temple you are building, if you observe my statutes, carry out my ordinances, keep up and obey all my commands, I will fulfill toward you the promise I made to your father David. I will dwell in the midst of the Israelites and will not forsake my people Israel. When Solomon finished building the temple, its walls were lined from floor to ceiling beams with cedar paneling, and its floor was laid with fir planking. At the rear of the temple, a space of 20 cubits was set off by cedar partitions from the floor to the rafters, enclosing the sanctuary, the Holy of Holies. The nave, or part of the temple in front of the sanctuary, was 40 cubits long. The cedar in the interior of the temple was carved in the form of gourds and open flowers. All was cedar and no stone was to be seen. In the innermost part of the temple was located the sanctuary to house the Ark of the Lord's Covenant, 20 cubits long, 20 cubits wide, and 20 cubits high. Solomon overlaid the interior of the temple with pure gold. He made in front of the sanctuary a cedar altar overlaid with gold and looped it with golden chains. The entire temple was overlaid with gold so that it was completely covered with it. The whole altar before the sanctuary was also overlaid with gold. And the sanctuary were In the sanctuary were 2 cherubim, each 10 cubits high, made of olive wood. Each wing of the cherub measuring 5 cubits. Verse 24. Each wing of the cherub measured 5 cubits, so that the space from the wingtip to the wingtip of each was 10 cubits. The cherubim were identical in size and shape, and each was exactly 10 cubits high. The cherubim were placed in the innermost part of the temple, with the wings spread wide, so that one wing of each cherub touched the side, while the other side. So sort of wing to wing, right? Pointing toward the middle of the room, touched the corresponding wing of the second cherub. The cherub too were overlaid with gold. The walls on all sides of both the inner and outermost rooms had carved figures of cherubs, palm trees, and open flowers. The floor of both the inner and the outer rooms was overlaid with gold. At the entrance of the sanctuary, doors of olive wood were made. Door frames had beveled posts. The 2 doors were of olive wood with carved figures of cherubim, palm trees, and open flowers. The doors were overlaid with gold, which was also molded to the cherubim and the palm trees. The same was done at the entrance of the nave, where the doorposts of olive wood were rectangular. The 2 doors were of fir wood. Each door was banded by a metal strap, front and back, and had carved cherubim, palm trees, and open flowers, over which gold was evenly applied. The inner court was walled off by means of 3 courses of hewn stones. So of hewn stone, remember we said hewn stone, so when you hew something is when you get it out of something else. So when you hew stone out of a mountain, so those are the hewn stones. They've been carved out of a mountain or a cliff, and they were meant to be used as is. Remember God's instruction, even when that time building of the ark, is don't chisel the stone, just use the stone as is. It's the significance of God as the rock. So as he is, right? Yeah. We're in verse 36. The inner court was walled off by means of 3 courses of hewn stones and 1 course of cedar beams. The foundations of the Lord's temple were laid in the month of Ziv, the 2nd month of the year, in the 4th year, and it was completed in all particulars exactly according to plan in the month of Bul, which is the 8th month, in the 11th year. So it started on the 4th year of King Solomon's reign, and went all the way to his 11th. So the temple was built in a span of about 5 years. Thus it took 11 minus 4, sorry, that's 7, yeah. Thus it took Solomon 7 years to build it. Yeah, 11 minus 4 is 7. We move to chapter 7, where now Solomon is ready to build his palace.